As we have been reporting, the global economic plunge is taking its toll on many different industries all over the world. Not as worse than oil, by the way, which is taking a hit of almost 50% with some companies. But oil is not the only sector that is suffering. People aren't traveling. People aren't going to events. People aren't shopping right now. That means retail's getting hit. Travel's getting hit. The leisure industry is getting hit. And there's a lot more. Here now, RT correspondent Alex Mihailovich reporting from Toronto tonight.
As the coronavirus spreads, so does its impact on the economy. From small businesses to major industrial players, many are feeling the pain. In Italy, a country under complete lockdown, the Prime Minister has told people to stay at home. People will not be going to work as usual and in many cases will not be receiving a paycheck. At the top of the country's economic food chain, the banks are showing a bit of understanding for the situation. Italian banks have suspended mortgage payments to soften the economic blow of the virus on average households, which will bring short-term relief to individuals, but will likely cause long-term damage to the economy as a whole. Across the pond, North America, which comparatively has a low number of coronavirus cases at this time, it is also being hit economically. The oil industry is suffering as people travel less, and airline companies are taking a major blow for the same reason. With bookings down, flights are being slashed and hiring freezes are in place. Delta says that travel demands have fallen drastically, and they expect 1/3 of seats to be empty this month on domestic flights. One reason for this is that major business meetings and conferences are being canceled to slow the spread of the virus. But a lack of vacation travel is also giving the industry a beating. From quarantine cruise ships to lockdown hotels, people aren't risking getting caught in the fray, and in turn, the entire travel industry is suffering. The entertainment industry will also tell you that the coronavirus has been bad for business. A popular recommendation to avoid the illness is to stay away from large crowds. This has caused the cancellation or delay of major music events like South by Southwest and Coachella. As for sporting events, precautions are in place. The NBA, NHL, MLB, and MLS put out a joint statement. They are all introducing a new ban against non-essential personnel inside locker rooms and clubhouses. In Toronto, players for the Raptors basketball team have been told to prepare to play games in completely empty stadiums if things get worse. And in the world of tennis, Indian Wells has been canceled, and the Miami Open may also be on the chopping block. Restaurants are also suffering. In New York City, mass cancellations of reservations are being reported as people choose to stay out of public places. The list goes on. However, there is another side to the economic picture. Some businesses are benefiting from people stocking up and staying home. From toilet paper to canned goods, products are flying off the shelves at stores, and meanwhile, the idea of Netflix and chill has reached new heights as people stay home. For News with Rick Sanchez, I'm Alex Mihailovich.
Thank you, Alex. Joining us now, former NTSB official Jamie Finch to talk about what's going to happen to the airline industry. What do you do if you're an airline and people aren't boarding your planes? This happened during 9/11, by the way, right? A lot of them almost went belly up.
A lot of them did almost go bottom up during that time. And this is very similar to that period. A lot of these larger carriers that have deep pockets and more of a financial cushion are going to be able to weather this. But the conventional thought has been that these smaller airlines were the ones that were going to be carrying the brunt and maybe not even surviving and becoming casualties of this entire thing. However, even today, one of the major carriers like Korean Airlines just today announced that they may become a casualty of this if it keeps going.
So there's hints out there that our esteemed Congress and or our esteemed president are going to create some kind of bailout or stimulus package so that they can give this money. They're talking about the airlines, the cruise industry, all kinds of
the whole travel industry.
Which, by the way, is taking money out of your pocket and my pocket to give to these companies, and I don't know if that's a good thing to do. But is that what they're depending on, Jamie?
Well, right now they have not got to that point to depend on that. The presidents and CEOs of the major carriers here in the U.S. just had a meeting last week with President Trump where they were not asking for any money, and they were hoping that all of this is going to get under control. Now, this thing is changing by the day, if not by the hour.
Right.
And so, no one really knows how deep this situation is going to go. So I think that they are starting to prepare contingency plans on what is going to be a way that can help the industry.
Well, you work in this industry and you understand it, so explain it to us. I don't know how many flights are out of, let's say, how many flights American Airlines has out of Reagan International Airport here in Washington, D.C. Let's say they have 100. Can they cut it back to 20 and just cancel 80 flights? And what can they save the company that way?
Well, they can, and that's what they're starting to do. They're cutting back on a lot of these flights. They're cutting back in about, up to about 25% of their flights. I think, so both domestically and international. But you're not going to really see much of a reduction in the price of the tickets right now, unless they start trying to really get people on the planes. But because people are not flying not because of economic issues. They're flying because of fear, just like 9/11. They're not wanting to get on these planes.
And finally, should they fear? How as a guy who knows a lot about the way airplanes work, how confined are you on an airline? Somebody sneezes, you catch it?
No, well, the aircraft are now designed, well, they're recirculating the air very quickly. About 98.9% of the air is being recirculated very, very fast. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to be in contact. Just the natural. But
it's no different than being in an office in a closed classroom
or a restaurant or any kind of closed place. I mean, for example, today I was just talking to one of my colleagues here this morning who said that she was on the metro, the subway here in Washington D.C. and it was very empty this morning. And so, during these rush hours, and the same thing she said with one of her cousins in New York City. And so this is, people are really, really starting to fear this.
Chris Hedges said that the train he came down on was very empty. Right. And yesterday when my wife took me to the airport, when I came out of South Florida at Fort Lauderdale Airport, there was no lines. It was really kind of interesting. It's reminiscent of, a little bit reminiscent, not as bad, of what we experienced during 9/11. By the way, we're out of time. You're a great guest. Thanks for...
You're very welcome.
Keep us honest on this.
Absolutely.
Okay, appreciate it.